little bit wrong. What do I do? Why is it wrong? I look like me as a baby. Hey guys, I'm Mackenzie and welcome back to my channel where I take you behind the scenes of my latest costume / cosplay journey. Today's video is festive for the Holly Jolly season and celebrates 20 years since the release of Elf. If you haven't guessed it yet, we're going to be making Zooey Deschanel's Jovie costume that she wears while working at Gimbals in the movie. This is the costume in question. Whatever streaming service this is on right now does not allow me to take screenshots on my computer, so catch me in the living room like this, zooming in and pausing it every 3 seconds to take different angles of her outfit. And I plan to make this costume in only 3 to 4 days, so let's see if we can do it. Let's cut the fabric. Ooh, transition. I'm going to be starting with making the hat because that feels like the easiest step and the smallest barrier to entry for this craft. Her hat doesn't have a brim or anything. This is what the hat looks like for reference. No brim. I'm just going to be attaching a piece of trim, like gold trim to the top. So all I'm gonna do is sew the edge together, flip it inside out, iron it, and then sew the like curvy piece together, and then add the gold trim and add the jingle bell. Wake up. Excuse me. And then we will just, now we need to iron this crispy line down. I'm scared that it's too small. Oh, this is not gonna fit with the wig under it. First of all, I look like me as a baby. Let's try that again. Okay, basically what I did was I put in a gusset into the back of the hat. Big? It's big. Okay, yes, excellent. Excellent. There's this much room, so I think that is definitely enough for a wig to fill it out, and if it's too big on the wig, then we can just pin it. Does it look bad from the back? I can't tell.
And here's some ASMR of me making the name tag using these gold brushed name tag plates that I found on Amazon for way too expensive, and some removable vinyl with my Cricut. And I just made a Jovie design that was close enough to the one from the movie. Weeded that and then just stuck it onto the plate, and here's what it looks like.
With that done, I am going to start sewing together the bodysuit, and that's the goal for the day, is to get that done. Here is my bodysuit fabric. I'm not double lining it. I'm just, maybe I should. I think I should double line it. So I'm gonna cut out a little bit extra and then whip it up and sew it together.
So for clarification, I'm actually cutting out 2 of both the front and back pieces, which are cut on the fold, and then just 1 of each sleeve, so 2 sleeves in total. With the pieces cut out, I just layer them on top of each other, and I'm going to be sewing around the edges that are going to be exposed. So that's the collar on both the front and the back, and then the leg seams for the bodysuit area. And then unfortunately there is some ironing that you're going to have to do, so I just flipped it inside out and I'm ironing the seams nice and crispy because I'm not going to be top stitching it, so I just want to sort of put it on a setting that's a little bit too high and melt it into the right place so that the collar looks nice. Here's our really crispy collar, and then I'm just doing a stay stitch along the rest of it before I go ahead and sew the 2 pieces together.
Okay, here we have the bodysuit without the sleeves on. For the most part, doing the job. I just have to mark off where I'm gonna add the sleeves. It's fine. It's honestly fine. Now I'm just gonna trim everything up. Here are the trims we're going to be using. One of them is not metallic, so I'm gonna have to paint it after the fact, but they're just gonna go around like this. And I do have concerns because I'm putting a non-stretch thing onto a stretch. So I think what I'll have to do is just pin it while it's on me or on the mannequin, and maybe hand sew it down. We've got sleeves now. That, I think, gets the point across, but the sleeves are too long.
And welcome to the actual most peaceful part of this project, which was doing all the pinning and hand sewing this, because I couldn't rush it, so I had to be slow and just sort of relaxing compared to all of the chaotic sewing on the sewing machine and snipping and cutting in that I was doing before. And I really was trying to get this whole bodice done in one day to keep with the timeline that I gave for myself, so here's me sewing it while also simultaneously making chicken. This hand sewing process probably took me like 4 hours because I watched 2 movies, made a whole dinner, and then started sewing this process before that. And then just when you think you're done, you have to go ahead and paint it with the glitter paint because I couldn't find a red glitter, like, what's this thing called? It's not a bias tape, but it's like a little, like a flourish.
I don't think I fully elaborated on the timeline that I was working with this. It's now occurred to me that even though I took the day off work tomorrow, I'm going to have to do night crafting every night of the week. Because last night I was up late crafting and painting and whatever while I was watching Polar Express, which by the way is like low-key a horror movie. The whole plot is terrifying. But we're gonna be making this skirt today and my plan is to get that finished and then hopefully I can just sew on the bells on the bottom while I watch TV tonight. But this is the skirt. This is what it looks like from the pictures I was able to pull from the movie. This is the fabric we are going to be using. It is a stretch velvet. Hers is a little bit more metallic than this is, but this is what we're working with. And this is what Joanne's had on a moment's notice. And tomorrow I will come to you fresh and ready to go because we're gonna be taking on the wig and the boob thing. Tomorrow is gonna be the day. I've scheduled it to be the day. Time is of the essence, people. Let's go.
Alright, welcome to the math section of making a half circle skirt for this project. So basically, since I want this to be a half circle skirt that's also a wrap, I have to figure out what my waist measurement is and then add half of that back onto itself on the waist measurement. So if my waist is 27 inches, then I'm going to be doing 27 plus, what's that quick math? So half of that is 13.5, so the total is 40.5 for the circumference, and I plug that in as C in my little radius finding formula for a half circle skirt, and the radius comes out to 11.2, and you're going to want to make sure that you round up and add like an extra inch, or in my case it was 0.8, to allow for seam allowance. Then I'm just attaching this red satin ribbon. It's about 1 inch, and I'm attaching it wrong sides together so that I can fold it over and have a clean edge instead of just top stitching it down. And then this is my first round of sewing, so I'm just sewing the ribbon down, flipping it inside out, and then I'm going to be sewing the top and bottom so that the ribbon stays on the waistband. Then I'm just looking at this reference picture and loosely freehanding a scallop pattern that I'm going to cut out and use as a stencil for the scallops all around her skirt. You could do the math to figure out exactly what size scallop stencil you need to fit correctly around the skirt, but I did not do that. So I did end up with 1/2 scallop, but that was on the inside, so it was fine. And then I just cut them out, but then I ran into another problem of me not having a serger, which is like every single project I do. But basically the ends of her skirt have a gold trim around it, and I couldn't figure out how to do that because the stretch velvet was just not cooperating with the stitches I was doing. Here you can see all of the failed attempts. I ended up doing just a really, really close zigzag stitch, and that was what is shown right here. And I didn't do it so close to the edge because it was like warping the edge, so I ended up having to go through and cut out the remainder, which you can see me doing here. So it's kind of like a raw hem. And then I just sewed on all of these jingle bells.
I won't lie, things are not going great right now. Let me just explain where we're at. As far as the costume goes, that's looking great. Perfect, amazing. The wig, another story. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it looks like. We're at the point of no return.
There actually was a point of return for this wig. I was just being a little bit dramatic, but I fixed it and it's gonna be its own separate video, so it'll be linked on the screen here. You can go ahead and watch that if you want to see the wig journey.
I don't understand why it's so hard to make something look yellow when you put yellow dye on it and it does not become yellow. That's all I have to say about the wig. The wig rant is over. I can't look at it anymore. We're gonna pretend that this one is not happening. And moving on to the costume. Costume status. I'm loving how it came out. The hand sewing was oddly relaxing and worth it. I did make this skirt in sort of like a panic frenzy last night because I was afraid I wasn't gonna have time. The ribbon could be sewed on straighter, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Jingles. So that's good. So at least we've got that going for us. We are now left with today's task, which is to be making the little like shawl thing that goes over this, and I'm just gonna drape it right over this so that I make sure it has the right distance between here and here, and let's get into that. We're gonna drape the top now. It has occurred to me that I should probably also line it with something, so I just have this leftover red lining fabric that I'm going to use underneath our velvet, which is the same as the bottom. We are going for this, draping it in this first, and then once I have a shape that I like, I'll cut it out of the final fabric.
It's honestly so easy to use muslin for draping and pattern making because it's pretty see-through and you can just draw right on top of it, and also it's like $3 for a yard.
I have now cut those pattern pieces out of the lining, and we're gonna drape it to see if it looks okay. I added seam allowance, so it's not gonna be like a perfect fit, but I just wanna make sure before I go ahead and cut the velvet.
As you can see, we were having some fit issues here, so before I went ahead and cut that out of the velvet fabric, I did make some adjustments. And then as you're cutting the velvet, it was making all of these little like floofies on my scissors, and that was both satisfying and also annoying. So as for seams on this little like boob shirt thing, that's what we're calling it, I sewed right sides together for the bottom and the chest V-neck area. And there is a flounce sleeve on the edge of this, and so what I'm doing is using that same zigzag method that I used for the end of the skirt, and here's what it looked like, and then I just gathered that and attached it to the edge of the sleeve. And a quick aside that powering through is not always best.
Oh my god. I can't. Why is this so much harder than it needs to be? Oh, because I said, let me just make this in 2 days. We're almost done, and I'm wearing the shirt to make sure it fits with this over it. I'm gonna do a little snip, snip, snip on the edge. Weirdly, the hardest aspects of this project have been the wig, which I thought just bam, bam, boom, dye it yellow, perfect. No, that blonde is unreasonably hard to achieve. And this little boob shirt thing, I don't know why it's so hard. I feel like it's because I decided to line it with a fabric that's not that stretchy. So we're actually on the final countdown here, and I'm just gonna very carefully snip along the edge of this little floof. What a right time, it's the right time to rock the night away. This is a little bit wrong. What do I do? Why is it wrong? I actually don't mind doing little tasks like this, because doing tasks on my sewing machine, it kind of makes me have rage. That's it. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the wig. I might dye it one more time. Let's pretend everything is working out perfectly with the wig, and now let's go to the reveal. We're here again at the mall, just
Local
doing
mall.
weird stuff.
Local weirdos.
Somebody already recognized me, which is nice. And this is like on brand for what's happening like worldwide.
Oh yeah.
And Santa's not here, so we're gonna try and like sneak in and grab his little backdrop right here. And not get in trouble.
Oh, perfect.
Time for joy and time for cheer.
And here we go, our reveal in 3, 2, 1.
Cosplay came out. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the comments below, and I'm always looking for new cosplay suggestions, and we're about to head into the new year. The gears are already starting to turn on my 2024 cosplay, so if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know. After all the feedback I've gotten on this costume, a Just Day cosplay has just skyrocketed to the top of my list. So also comment your most iconic Just Day outfits that you'd like to see me do. I do have the screen accurate bra that she wore in the Cooler episode, which by the way, that's my favorite episode ever. But I don't know if I want to be out here on the internet wearing just a bra or shirt. So yeah, that's a brief aside. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you can see the next time I post. All right, bye. Also,